and thank you for joining Growing Tech Fast, the condensed Org3 podcast where we talk about growing tech startups with those who have grown them. Today, I am joined by Buchi Reddy, CEO and co-founder of Levo.ai. It's great to have you on the podcast today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks a lot, Emily, for having me here.
Of course, yeah.
Yep.
Great. Yeah, so for the benefit of our listeners, can you tell me a bit about who you are and your mission with the work that you're doing today?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Buchi Reddy. I'm originally from Hyderabad, India, and I moved to Bay Area about 10 years ago. And I've been here. I've been here in different startups, like multiple startups. Very early member in a couple of startups. And last year, I started this company, Levo.ai, with my former colleague and my friend, Harish Nataraj. And here we are.
Yeah.
So coming to the Levo's mission, basically, so when me and Harish, we were actually working in previous companies, we actually saw this problem. Basically, the digital world needs better security for all of us, and enterprises need to secure their APIs and applications. And we saw that it's actually pretty crazy. Security is most of the times playing a catch-up game. We come up with the technologies, we invent them, we use them and get business benefit out of it. Especially developers and engineers are hacking around, coming up with new technologies, frameworks always. And it's great because you got to be continuously pushing the envelope and making innovations. But what we noticed is security is most of the times it is thought as an afterthought. You take APIs as an example. APIs have been around for 10 plus years. I remember building an API almost, in the beginning of my career. And now we are actually talking about API security. How do you help enterprises to secure their APIs? It's mind-boggling, actually. So that was like the aha moment when we got to know, hey, why is security playing catch-up game? And on the other hand, all these hackers and all these guys, the bad guys are trying to get to the enterprises, get to you and my data. And that's where basically our mission is, okay, help enterprises to secure their applications and APIs. And our product enables engineers and developers to very easily secure their APIs so that we can have a better digital security.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Yeah. So can you just tell me a little bit more about what your background was before and how you began this journey?
Yeah, so my background, I've studied computer science engineering and I started as an engineer, like a lot of people. I worked for a company called DE Shaw, which is a hedge fund based out of New York for a while. And after that, I moved to Valley, mainly with the interest in being part of the startups. Silicon Valley is the mecca of startups and all the action is here. So I wanted to be here. So I got here and I joined multiple startups. There was a startup Neptune.io, which is a YC Summer 14 company. I was the first employee there, joining the founders, literally it was just three of us in the room. And I also was an early member in another company called Traceable. And another notable company I worked at was App Dynamics, which is where App Dynamics is actually a significant chapter in my Bay Area's time. So I've become a leader there. I've grown as a leader. I've met excellent people. I've learned a lot from Jyoti Bansal, founder of App Dynamics, watching very closely and being a part of all those all hands and seeing the company growing like crazy. Yeah, so I've been a startup person, worked at multiple companies. Mainly, I was super keen on learning from these leaders, staying very close, being in the same room as them, both engineering wise as well as a business wise. How do you sell? How do you market? How do you find the product market fit? There's a lot of learning. Really enjoyed it, and I think when the time came when we got the right idea, I felt like I found the best partner in my colleague Harish Nataraj. So and the mission, like I said earlier, it's a very big problem. All of those excited me enough that okay, let me take the plunge and jump full time into this.
Great. Yeah, your background sounds absolutely, fascinating. It's a great background to have, for a startup. I hear 2022 is going to be a huge year for you guys. Can you tell me a little bit more about the plans for this year?
Yeah, sure. I mean, last 1.5 years has been, crazy growth, both personally as well as company wise. Like, we've come from 2 to 15 people now. Um, uh, and we started with no product from scratch, and we built a full product. And, we've released our first version of Levo full product and multiple features in June. And we started from just early customer discovery calls to now we have come like multiple customers using us in production, and whole bunch of new POCs going on. It was a crazy year in terms of a lot of action, and we are looking forward to close few more customers before the year end, and maybe go for next round of funding as well.
Great. Yeah, no, you said you started from 2 to 15. How was it, founding a startup?
Yeah, it was pretty hard to hire, actually. I mean, so I think let's start with the fundraising, right? It, it, First time, it is always difficult for first time founders. General building a company is really, really hard. But I consider myself very, very lucky because, um, all the previous companies that I was working at, I made a bunch of friends and met some exceptional people, and that's the thing I like about Silicon Valley. A lot of people are there to help you if you ask for help. So definitely, it's hard, but we got a lot of help from all the friends and family. And After fundraising, hiring was really crazy last year. Like the stock market is at the peak, and a lot of companies were doing really well. People were not moving out, or they were sitting on huge compensations. It was crazy to hire last year, and but in spite of that, we didn't want to lower the bar, so it took I would say a little more time than what we wanted to assemble the best team. But I'm super happy with the team that we assembled. Yeah, being a founder, I think, I'm pretty sure everybody goes through this. But I enjoy it so much. I'm learning, I'm being challenged on daily basis. And I enjoy it. It's hard, but I really love this. I would not do anything else.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I mean, networking is definitely, in this day and age is so important as well, especially when you're founding a startup. Yeah, so you've had some experience with investing. Tell me more about that. How was that process?
Um, yeah, so my investments are mainly in some of the I would say two categories. Like either I invested in people's companies, the people that I know of directly, um, direct friends or first level, second level connections, or alternatively, I invested in companies which I myself would have wanted to build. Like I keep tinkering with ideas, right? There were a lot of ideas that it's like, okay, maybe should I start on this? Like this has been going on for a while, but when I come across some idea that looks exactly like what I thought, I was like, oh my god, like I didn't start it. Okay, let me help or at least invest and get into this board. So these are the two categories, but I'm not, I don't do a lot of it, so I don't consider myself yet as an official investor or anything.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, definitely. That's very, very interesting. You also have had experience with leading teams. How has that been?
Uh, yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, initially, there was a lot of learning experience, and you ask any leader when they become the leader first time, like there's some uh, first time leader mistakes, newbie mistakes. So App Dynamics is the place where, although I was mentoring few people, I was leading small teams prior to that. App Dynamics is the place where I actually got into official leadership role for the first time. I still thank my managers, my leaders there who gave me that opportunity. And It was an excellent ride. Actually, I was there for like almost more than 2.5 years, and I started as a tech lead and grew to engineering manager and then to director of engineering. I did some my own share of initial first time leader mistakes, but it was great actually. Being in the driver's seat, being in a leadership role is actually a lot of people think of it as a privilege. It may be in some sense, but it also comes with a lot of responsibility, burden, and you should be willing to sacrifice. Um, I enjoyed every bit of it. In fact, early on in my career, there was a teeny bit of doubt. I always used to think like maybe, I would just stay as IC forever. And I still remember like when I got the leadership opportunity, I told my manager like, hey, this is what I think. I don't think, I may want to be a leader, but you know what? I want to try it once and see. And you should be open if I want to go back one day, go back to being IC. And he said like, okay, that's fine. And like, the next conversation we are having, like, no, I'm totally loving it. I want to continue it. I just need your support and mentorship. So it was good. I like it, and I'm glad I took that plunge basically.
Yeah, sometimes it's great just having that, that little push and then, completely changing your career. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's absolutely great. So what are the changes that you've noticed in yourself since starting Levo.ai?
Oh my God, it's a great question, and the list is pretty huge. Starting with people, leadership. Like when I got into leadership role, I very quickly I understood and realized that you got to have empathy as a leader, and it's about people. It's not about the product. I mean, yeah, everybody says like, yes, we love customers, we love product, and all of this, but people are the ones who are actually making it happen. So you care for them, and you enable them, you put them in the best position, and they'll do the stuff. So learned a lot about leadership, like and especially having empathy. And at startup, you got to be really good at decision making. And I would not claim I actually mastered it. I still struggle once in a while with some very big decisions, because like there's these are very very hard decisions that you're talking about, right? So I've learned a great deal about decision making. Been reading bunch of frameworks about around it, like learn from some of the best people out there by just understanding, listening to them, and reading from them. um, Other things like some because I come from engineering background, there's a lot of engineering aspects we are already good at, right? So we just took them and executed, and I use that to the speed. But the most of the learning is on, like, go to marketing side. How do you distribute the product? How do you market about it? Like I said, I still don't think we fully mastered it, but a lot of learnings were in that space. How do you tell a compelling story to your investors, to your employees, to your customers? Because every day when I wake up, these are the people I'm thinking about, right? I think about my employees, I think about my customers and investors, and all these three, you have to tell a compelling story, and you have to have that great vision. So my learnings were in this, especially in the GTM, sales, marketing, some of this area, and there's a long way to go. It's still day zero.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's great things to come as well for you. So who would you say your role models are?
Uh, Yeah, actually, I never thought about it like that, but but I think there is something close to it. I mean, whatever you call it. But I learned a great deal from from my uncle, my family, as a person initially. The perseverance, like, how he, anything he takes up, how determined he is, and how hardworking he is. And there's a lot, like, from my grandmother and my uncle, I learned a great deal. But comes to startups, I think Jyoti Bansal is a definitely, big influence, because when I joined AppDynamics for the first time, and I still remember those days, like, standing in the all hands, like getting a seat in the first row and listening about this crazily growing company and all the pains and some of these things, his plans. He had a lot of influence, I would say. Like, he's now building his third or fourth company. So I've learned a great deal from him. And I usually read and listen to a lot of these, startup people. Paul Graham's essays, like, that's like a Bible for a lot of people. Like, there's like, you can never stop learning from his essays, even if you are reading them over and over. And Naval Ravikant, like, there's a lot of people. So my style is, I look at the best people in the industry. I watch their interviews. I read from them, like, so it's not just the people who I worked with or who I personally met, but even those across the world. Generally, I try to learn from them.
Yeah, great. That's definitely great words of wisdom there. I mean, you can never really stop learning in this, the constant change in technology and in the world as well. So it's definitely something that, it's great words of wisdom there. So what would you say are some of the best bits of advice you've been given in your career?
Yeah, so I think as a leader, the main thing is you care about your people. Like you got to have empathy and take care of people, enable them to do the best thing. And there's a lot of advice on the product market fit and startup and some of these things. But now that I'm going through with my own startup, I'm actually realizing that, like, there's one thing that caught my attention early on, which is embrace the notion of plenty. Don't think it's scarce. Like, let's say, if you think about customers, like, don't think that, oh, there's only few customers. The world is so big. And embrace that notion of that. And if one customer says no, go chase other customers. If one employee is not joining you for whatever reason, go chase others. So that is another major big advice I think was really helpful in the last few days. And other one is, especially this is with respect to sales. Get down to the business, be direct and get down to the business. Like, coming from engineering background, like, engineers are shy people, and and don't try to sell, right? Like, I mean, we don't have not been doing selling business in the past. So initially I've noticed myself, like, sometimes, like, hey, just trying to ask or just trying to get a feedback rather than, like, selling. That's some advice. It's been helping me really a lot. Like, you're actually selling the product. There's nothing wrong with it, and get to the business directly. So that's fun advice, really helped me on the sales side.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so you definitely don't be afraid to get out your comfort zone, for sure. So what should our listeners do more of in 2022, do you think?
Well, my opinions are biased because, I told you that I've always been a startup person, all this. People's interests could be different, but one, for engineers and developers, this is tied to our mission. For people who are building, I would especially building apps and software, I definitely recommend them to educate themselves about security. This is something, like I said, blows my mind. Like, I myself included, for a lot of time in my career, I didn't know a lot about security aspects. And now when I look back, like, holy crap, like, I was building a lot of software without fully understanding the security implications of it. And I see many developers and builders are still doing it. So for what do you do in 2022? And the reason, I would also tell the reason why, but what do you do if you're a builder or software developer or engineer? Please educate yourself on security, what kind of implications the software that you're building has, and how people can hack it and make it better. And the reason why I say that is like, there's all kinds of analyst reports, but you might have seen the whole cyber attacks have been going high. We are coming to an inflection point where, like, this bad guys can get to any application that you want. Like, I was just reading in news yesterday, there was ransomware attack on LAUSD. Like, this is just a school district, for God's sake. So this is super important. So that's one advice. And for others, the general advice I would say is, like, because of all what I said, excellent learning, and how much I had to push myself to grow. I wish I had done something, sooner, something like this. I mean, need not be a venture-backed company, anything. Like, don't hesitate to actually just go out and build things. I know market is slowing down, and funding has gotten a little difficult, and all of this that people say. But I think everybody should figure out a way to actually do something on your own, build something. There's nothing like that. That's amazing feeling, and you will learn a lot. The other person, the person that comes out on the other side when you do this, you can never imagine, what kind of person you would become.
Yeah, so great words of wisdom there and great advice for our listeners. It's been such a pleasure speaking to you, hearing your story and getting some of your wisdom. Thank you to everyone listening, and tune in next time for Growing Tech Fast.
Thank you very much, Emily. It was really nice to be here, and thanks everyone for listening. Hopefully that's helpful to you.
Thank you very much.